Dear Jill, my dilemma is I have really intrusive thoughts surrounding death and worrying about something happening to my loved ones, in particular my husband, and how I wouldn't be able to cope if anything happened to him. Just looking for a bit of guidance regarding that, please.
Oh, Kel. Kel, I can relate to this one actually, a lot. I um I also struggled a few years ago with some very intrusive thoughts about something bad happening to my son. And I know where you're coming from because they're not rational. They're not necessarily based in any truth. It's not even that something has to happen to make you have those thoughts. You just start to go down a road of what if, what if, what if. And then for me anyway, the thoughts would pick up pace and pick up sort of severity. And I would start to really, I could make myself really upset at the thought of something bad happening. Now, for me, and this might not be an option for you, but I'm going to put it out there first. I actually had a therapy called EMDR, where the therapist takes you into those thoughts that you're having. And we talk about those thoughts and we sort of repeat those thoughts over and over and over and over. And at the same time that you're talking about these thoughts, you're watching like a light go left to right, left to right. Now, the idea of EMDR is after a while you desensitize yourself to these thoughts. So you're having them and your body is absolutely experiencing it. Oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible. What if this happens? And then after a while, you work through the therapy, and after a while, you have the thought, but your body doesn't think it's happening. Now, that really worked for me, and I could not recommend that more. But if therapy isn't available to you and it's not for everyone, I totally accept it's a luxury. What I would say is when those thoughts come in, one of the questions or one of the things you could say to yourself the minute they come in is go, this is a thought, it's not actually happening. And that might sound like really ridiculously simple, but sometimes you have to say that so that your body calms down. You can tell your body, I'm having the thought, but it's not actually happening. I'm having the thought, but this is not real. I'm having the thought, but it's not the truth. And you just keep telling yourself that, and it brings your heart rate down. And again, like something really simple, like just breathing, just breathe 3 times in and out and just concentrate on your breath. And then if the thought comes in again, just do it again. And it's about self-regulation. And it's an anxiety, and it might be linked to a past trauma that you have. And like I say, if you could go and find that out and do a bit more exploration, if you can do that, that would be great. But if not, just keep saying to yourself, I am not my thoughts. We have so many thoughts through the day. People often talk about those impulsive thoughts where you're standing on like a tube platform and you just think, what would happen if I just jumped in front? That's so common. But a lot of us don't talk about what goes on inside our heads, so we think we're weird. So I think one of the things to do is to destigmatize that for yourself and be like, you know what? This is probably more common than you think. People worrying about terrible things happening to their loved ones. And then you go into the sort of fantasy of, I couldn't cope and I would break down and my life would be terrible. But you just have to keep coming back to the thought of, it's not happening now. It's not happening. It's just a thought. And the whole, I don't know if you've heard of Eckhart Tolle, but he writes a book called The Power of Now. And it's all about being present. It's all about being in the present. And that's a really helpful book if you can get your hands on that, because that's what he would say. He would say, you would have the thought and he would say to you, is it happening now? And you go, no. And he'd go, and then there's nothing to worry about. It sounds ridiculously simple, but the way that you have almost trained yourself to have those spiraling thoughts, you can actually untrain yourself back into a more rational way of thinking. But I really sympathize with you. Like I say, I've been through it myself. So good luck with that.